because every time I speak to you, I get curious. At what point in time did you go into healthcare and why?
Good morning, Senna, and good morning to your listeners. Senna, we sojourn out of the country from time to time.
Yes.
So it was one of those sojourns. I was in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
I was doing my engineering. I've always had a thing for mental health.
Okay.
Because somebody died out of mental health when I was growing, and I've always been having different views. Indeed, Senna, if today I become a millionaire, the first thing I want to do is to establish a mental hospital to pick all mental patients off our streets and get treatment free.
I see. Very interesting.
I've always been asking God to give me that opportunity to get money and just build a mental hospital from Paga to Axim to Aflau, all mental health patients off the streets and give treatment 5% for free.
Like you heard, he's always also an engineer, but this morning we are relying on his expertise in law. And of course, this weekend I was on the same platform with you when we were discussing this matter of the petitions. One of the things we were not sure about is whether or not the presidency has the petition. The presidency now says that he has 7 on the matter of the chairperson of the Electoral Commission and her 2 deputies, and 3 for the special prosecutor. Now that this has been confirmed, what are your thoughts?
Senna, yes, I was going to say over the weekend we were not sure if the petitions were received. Glad they have been received. And on that same program, you remember my brother Solomon was of the view that it should be very easy to remove persons in such authorities. In that way, you will sit up and do your job. I've also picked social media things about the fact that these are acts of the executive to remove these guys. First, let me talk about the OSP. There's nobody in NDC who is not aware that removing the OSPs by NDC will be a poison chalice. This is something that we would not like to drink. Indeed, we all have our disagreement with how he's carrying out his duties. He's a fine lawyer. Indeed, he taught me criminal law. But what has been achieved so far? And you see, there's an area we are all forgetting. The OSP, or the Office of the Special Prosecutor, was a campaign promise by somebody. Then we had a situation where the person, thinking that my enemy's enemy is my friend, decided to use Martin Amidu. That failed when Martin realized what he was being used for. And Kisia Jaben Esquire came in, the same thing, saying that he's not getting the cooperation, or he was not getting the cooperation from those same people. It is the same government or regime that this went through. So for me, Senna, I don't know how is he now getting the better cooperation. If he's getting a better cooperation, then what is it that NDC will be interested in his removal? I don't think NDC is interested in his removal. As for the EC, I made mention of the fact that they supervised the disenfranchisement, or the idea that the whole of South, Santo Kofi, Akpafu, Lolobi, and Lipe, my neighbors from Hallway, having no representation in Parliament for 4 years. Such a thing should not be pardoned. And mindful of the fact that they supervise that, once such a thing is triggered, I would have been expecting, or the as I said that day, is lingering. I would have expected that the character of the dead is a lesson to the living. They saw what happened to Tokonu Justice Emeritus. I would have been advising that they should step down voluntarily.
That they should step down voluntarily?
Yes.
But on the same platform, I think it was Lawyer Sebel pointed out that once this process is triggered, there's no room for resignation. Is there?
One, you have no room for resignation when it is brought to your attention, isn't it? That's why I'm saying that once you are aware that the thing has started somehow, it has not been brought to their attention. It will be brought to their attention when they are invited, they are giving copies to say that respond to it. And in the case of the EC, we have a precedent where Charlotte was asking for, I think he was given a copy. And in the case of the OSP, Tokonu gave a copy to Kisia Jaben to respond, to determine whether there's a prima facie case. So in terms of precedent, that would have been happening, that they will give them a copy, or they will give them copies. Now you've not received that. You might, someone will say it was brought to your notice by virtue of newspaper publication, but you can't use newspaper publication. Now there's a Supreme Court ruling that you cannot resign, but they are not forcing you not to resign. But you cannot resign and still keep your benefits. That is the idea. But you can still resign. Indeed, the law is that nobody can force anybody to work, so you can resign, but you might not resign and still get your benefits. But what I was advising is that once you begin to hear the rumor that this is being done, first is you resign.
But is that not an admission of guilt and wrong? Because if I am convinced that I've done my work in a manner that is above board, that will withstand any scrutiny, why not stand up and defend myself?
Senna, the lawyers have something they call res ipsa. The thing speaks for itself. I gave you an example that they supervise the idea that a whole group of people were without parliamentary representation for 4 years. What are you going to defend about that? That is the incompetence of the highest level. What are you going to defend?
But they can also, the argument has also been that they were handed a fait accompli with the demarcation of the new regions, which made it difficult. And the Constitution says that you cannot have a constituency that's in two regions. So now the Constitution has been divided into two. So the South area was in Oti, the Hoho area in the Volta region, and that makes it difficult for them. By the Constitution, they have always insisted that it was not their doing. It was the doing of those who did the demarcations.
So, Sarah, what happened that now South has their own constituency? The same procedure could have been used then. And if you feel that somebody is doing an illegality in your domain, what do? You resign. You don't support the illegality. The argument cannot fly today. They supervise it. Who issued the statement, and when did they know? They issued a statement on the eve of election. Is that when they knew that they are going to disenfranchise the people? And did they seek a constitutional interpretation to see what the Supreme Court will ask for? Someone should read Valentine Jache versus Professor Magre Kweku and NDC. And the advice given by the Supreme Court is in there. They cannot hide behind the fact that we had a president, Nana Akufo-Addo, who was the monarch of all these surveys. By right, there's none to dispute that as a result of that, I was incompetent. Come on. That is even more admission of incompetence.
So for you, the advice is they should leave office.
By now, they should have been going home. If they were close to me or I was their lawyer, there's nothing to fight here. Sarah, when the Justice Tokonu one started, I said that it is always good to be brave, but sometimes it's better to be a coward. And you could sometimes see the end from the beginning of certain battles. Now, you've had 7 petitions. I don't know whether those are against the EC. And I also told you that throughout the last 4 years or 6 years, Imani Ghana had been consistently asking for EC to be investigated and audited, and had been consistently preaching to say that these guys were doing shoddy job. A group like Imani Ghana, it's just like Amnesty International or Red Cross. So their voice will go far, and they will have very solid ground for their advocacy they were doing. And how are you going to fight such a group with all the armory they have? I think that sometimes it's better to be a coward. However, as you said, we don't know the bullets in their arsenal. So, well, let's leave it that way. Perhaps the end will justify my advice or their stance.
And of course, when I was reading the Daily Guide today, they made, in fact, the Chronicle was making reference to exactly the thing you started with. The suggestion has been this has been the agenda of the NDC all the while they were in opposition. Now they have power, so they've decided to use the power against Jean Mensa and the deputies. How do you respond to that?
When we had a deputy who posted that NDC is a threat to Ghana's democracy, and that threat has now faced you, what do? You take cover. That will be what a commonsensical approach will be. However, NDC campaigned with promises to Ghanaians that will do ABC, will reset Ghana. And Ghanaians said, come and reset Ghana. And they will said, reset Ghana. On the idea that NDC is interested in the removal of Jean Mensa, no, if NDC were interested in the removal of Jean Mensa, they would have said it themselves. Yes, indeed, the party chairman made comments to it. The same comments were supported by even the MPP. When they were about to do the Ablekuma rerun, Ablekuma rerun, they said it. That institution and the people manning it are no more fit for purpose. And it looks like they want to protect their job. That's why they are misbehaving, quote and unquote. Then Kofi Bento made the same statement about EC. So it has been like across board. Everybody is talking about them. All Kodia and Afenyo Martins have all of a sudden become NDC. No. Everybody has seen their incompetence. That is all we are talking about. Days where you can do things and just go away without anything are gone. Now people are demanding accountability by the day. It is not an NDC agenda. This time, let me talk as an NDC communicator. NDC has no such agenda, no interest in such a thing. But NDC will be interested in doing the right thing.
And on the matter of the special prosecutor, he said it's a poison chalice. There's no way the NDC will touch him.
No, NDC, I mean, if NDC is interested in removing let's say, they collapse the office of the special prosecutor, what happens next? Then the people will say, oh, NDC want to collapse the special prosecutor's office so that they will engage in corruption, isn't it? That's what the people will say. That's why NDC, one of the reasons NDC will not be interested. Let the office be there. Let them do their work. So that's where I mean there is a poison chalice for NDC. So NDC will not swallow that so that you say, hey, we told you they want to be corrupt. That's why they have collapsed the place. Even as everybody is looking at it that the guys are not doing very well.
Well, thank you. Thank you as always. Thank you for speaking to us.
Then, let me quickly say good morning to Madam Rejoice Kulupa in Hawaii. She listens to you every time. Amazing contribution. Madam Joyce Kulupa, yes, from Hawaii.
A very good morning to her. A very good morning to her. Thank you. Thank you as always. Lawyer Theophilus Dzimega, so TK. Popularly known TK Dzimega, join us on the line, sharing his views with us on this particular issue. Would take a political science dimension shortly.